Hello, fabulous superstar Cancer. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of July 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological month, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. This month's full moon takes place on the 3rd of July, and it happens in your opposite sign. And this full moon is rather interesting. So, on the one hand, it is speaking in supreme harmony with Jupiter. Lots of good fortune energy here. It is Jupiter in a friendship part of your sky. It's also speaking in harmony with Saturn. Lots of long term benefit energy here as well, playing the long game, if you will, but also reaping reward that has positive long term consequences can happen at this time as well. However, Mercury is across the sky, so there's a sense of kind of going back and forth, trying to be diplomatic or figuring out what it is that you are really wanting, and especially what it is that you want to say. It is this full moon in your opposite sign that very likely is going to get you honest about where you stand with another person. This is about partnership. That can include business partners or professional alliances. And as you are understanding the potential here in terms of what other people bring, you're also looking at where it is perhaps that there isn't necessarily a forward path with certain people in your life. That's the thing about full moons. They can represent fruition and culmination. They're not so much about the new and the next, what's starting, but rather what either has arrived or where it is that certain paths now are ready to transform into something else or be left altogether. So you're looking at the truth of an alliance to see how it is that this person actually helps you to move towards the larger hopes and wishes you have for your life. Are they part of bringing in bigger opportunity for you? Possibly. But also, perhaps having conversations, talking things through, talking things out as part of understanding whether or not this is someone you want to continue to be aligned with. It is a turning point, without a doubt. Now, navigating further, the very big news for you on the 17th of the month, that is when we are going to have this month's new moon, and it is in your sign. Normally, you get one new moon per sign per year, and this is your moment. It is your personal new year happening now. And boy, is it consequential. And so this new moon is speaking in supreme harmony with Neptune. Lots of hopeful, dreamy energy. It is speaking in harmony with Uranus. There's delightful surprise, excitement energy here. But it's opposite Pluto. And that's tricky. That can represent a power struggle with another person, or perhaps looking at factors that don't feel fair, that feel very large, as part of understanding who you are, what it is that you really want to do. And that is the focus when we have a new moon in your sign. It's who you know yourself to be, what matters to you most, what matters to you first. That is seen in new ways. Whereas full moons that I spoke of earlier have to do with culmination and conclusion. It is new moons that represent seed moments, brand new opportunities, new insights, new initiatives, and wherever it is that you're tapping into what it is you want most, that is where your most powerful beginnings can take place now. It's about seeing yourself differently in a way that fuels hope, in a way that probably feels very ideal. But there is an amount of magic here, I have to say, with this time. And given that delightful Uranian energy as well, chances are you feel a sense of electricity with you, like things are changing in a way that resonates with who it is you know yourself to be and what it is that you're really wanting. Whatever's closest to you is what takes priority now, but also can be the beneficiary of change, but that only takes you so far. Because ultimately, where it is that you're asking, tapping into alliances with other people, that's when that more back and forth energy starts to kick in. That's when the power dynamics start to kick in. The more you can focus on you, well, chances are the more magical this time will feel. Now, where it comes to matters of love, so there are a couple of energies here. Of course, it is Venus going retro. Venus going retro on the 23rd of this month will stay retrograde till the 4th of September and will leave shadow the 7th of October. And love and self-love become intimately tied for you now. And you may remember, I've been telling you this Venus retrograde season is going to be a doozy. That doozy starts right out of the gate as we start this month with key and challenging alignments with Uranus. And then as we move to the middle of the month with Neptune, and then it is Venus station in alignment with Pluto. So there's surprise, there's uncertainty, there may be some acknowledgement of disappointment and unfairness, but there's also you coming to an understanding of what self-love is going to mean for you in the context of romantic love. But there's plenty of romantic love in and of itself. I'm going back to that full moon. That full moon happening on the 3rd is taking place in your opposite sign. That has to do with romantic alliances as well. When we have important lunar energy in our opposite sign, it means that someone is there to help us to understand where we are in love and how we feel about it. For those of you open to meeting someone new, well, chances are at this time, there is going to be someone who does pop up. It may happen very much by surprise. It still may lead you to those questions of self-value, self-respect. And remember, another overall trend with this Venus retrograde is that money and love do not mix. Of course, there are going to be Venus retrograde special horoscopes. And I've been speaking about Venus and what that means for your sign with this retrograde season. And I'll link to that below. Having said that, chances are you're going to connect with someone. Chances are a lot is going to stir for you now as part of looking at where you've been and where you are. And yet, there's also the potential here to get very honest with yourself about the kind of love you want, looking at whether or not you right now are open to receiving that or aligning with that through your actions or where it is that you are in your life. That's going to be part of the more personal and important contemplation for you now. For those of you just starting to date someone, I do think that full moon is going to be a big turning point moment. That full moon on the 3rd happens the day after Venus squares Uranus, the first really doozy of an energy to kick in. So whatever takes place with another person, ultimately it's leading you to understand self-value and self-love differently in some way. But for all that, that full moon is about you seeing this person very likely through what they're communicating with you, what they're telling you about themselves, the exchange you're having with them, the need for diplomacy here, but at what cost? These are going to be some of the questions that stir. Where it is right, where it feels like there can be something long-term here, that will be clear. Part of the truth of this full moon is that sense of really coming together in partnership. But where it is that isn't the case, well, all those things that serve as little signposts that this may not be the one to navigate forward with, well, chances are they'll become a lot more clear under the light of that full moon. And for those of you in an established bond, what a remarkable time this can be. And so that full moon again comes into focus in key ways. And it reminds you to consider your alliance with your partner. Yes, could be that things are happening in your partner's life that really don't necessarily directly involve you. And you're sort of just there in support with a sense of the changes that they're going through, or maybe they're trying to make up their mind on a key matter and talking it through with you. For all that, it might have to do with the relationship itself. And yet, this is a moment of illumination and a moment of understanding as well. Where finances and love start to come into play, that's where you do want to be a little bit careful. It could be that you are asked or called to be generous with your partner in some way, and that could bring with it some mixed feelings. Outside of that, though, this can represent one of those moments, especially under the light of that full moon, where you get to see that much more clearly the stability, the love, and all the potential that the two of you share. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a valuable and meaningful astrological moment. The new moon in your sign is really key because it returns you to self. The full moon earlier in the month, well, it brings your focus on another, but ultimately it really is about you, who you know yourself to be, what matters to you most, what matters to you first. Where it is that you have that, this is a time of reconnection, strengthening those priorities. Where you've disconnected from them, well, this is a time of reawakening, reminding you of the best that you are. Well, thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.